Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm Michael Muto. I'm here with Greg Famong. Greg, how's it going?
The season-long nightmare is over, Michael.
I mean, it's got to feel good.
It's time to pick up the pieces.
This was a rough one.
It's time to pick up the pieces. We'll do our autopsy report, and we're on the Temple in 2017.
Well, let's go back to one day ago when I was in your living room and we watched Notre Dame USC.
While you read books with my daughter.
I did. The game was a little boring. Let's be honest.
It was not boring. It was just inevitable.
I compared it to a baseball game where they hit a lot of home runs.
It was not a boring game. It was an inevitable game. So it was boring in the sense that the outcome was never in doubt. Although I could tell by a few of your groans that you were not so certain of that.
Yeah, the nice thing was every time Notre Dame scored, Adoree Jackson decided to score for USC. So
no, the nice thing was every time Notre Dame scored, Notre Dame decided to give the ball to Adoree Jackson,
which was unbelievable.
I've been looking over the rule book over the last 24 hours, and I have yet to find a rule that says you have to kick to the guy that they send back there. So I'm still efforting on that front.
Now, can the Notre Dame kicker not kick touchbacks? Does he not have that ability, or was this the game plan?
They don't have a guy. Notre Dame's thing is directional kicking, so they want to kick it like long and left, which is what they've been doing all season. So
USC put Adoree Jackson long and left? They're
terrible on special teams. Let's just put that out there. So here's the thing. If you just straight up kick it out of bounds, it's going to the 35. Now, granted, that's 10 yards further than a touchback. It is also 65 yards further away from the end zone for which Adoree Jackson frequented. So, it's a give and take. If you kick it out of bounds, then you can't, they can't fumble, for example. Like Adoree Jackson did fumble.
He did fumble a punt return. Yeah.
So that can't happen when you kick it out of bounds, but you also can't give up a touchdown.
Now, could they have squibbed it? Like, that's a thing you could do.
You can squib it. You can squib it. You can kick it. Like, there was one time where they kicked it to the right, and Adoree Jackson was not over there. That would have worked. They could have done a number of things other than what they actually did. But when you're 4-7,
you kick it to Adoree Jackson every time,
and you become 4-8.
Yeah. So the one nice thing about the Adoree Jackson show was last week you predicted it. You said he'll be able to do whatever he wanted,
whatever he wants. And
the first hint we saw of that was on I guess it was a screen pass, but they called it a run.
Yeah, like they threw it backwards, I guess.
And man, he was pinned up against the sideline, and somehow he got a big first down. It got 12 yards. It was crazy.
Right.
I don't know. I know how he did it because I was watching, but poor tackling, just the will to get there. I don't know. That was the tip off that this would go USC's way.
Poor tackling. Poor fundamentals.
And that was preceded by Ronald Jones just cutting right past Drew Tranquill, I believe.
Yes.
For a touchdown.
Not the only one.
No, he had a couple.
Not the only one this year.
So yeah, it was. I did let out some groans. I was worried.
You were. It was funny. It was really funny. Like I
was trying to keep it to myself because I knew.
No. I could totally tell you were legitimately like you had consternation, and I was like, that's so adorable. Like he actually thinks that there's a chance that USC is not going to win.
When the pick six and return touchdown happened, like all in a row, that's when I felt pretty comfortable.
That's when I was like, see, they're 4-7.
My favorite part was we rewound the Ajini Harris pick six. Like, no, it wasn't the pick six. It was a sack. There was a Deshaun Kaiser sack that we rounded about 3 or 4 times when the guy. He threw a comeback. He was supposed to throw a comeback to a guy in the slot, and he was staring at the receiver the whole time, who was wide open.
Oh
And
yeah,
for some reason, he didn't throw it. I think that was the microcosm of the game there.
yeah. And then he like, scrambles right, like into the defense, and he takes a sack. And you look at the replay, and he's got C.J. Sanders. It's like 3rd and 3, and he's got C.J. Sanders on a quick stop. He doesn't throw it.
He's like, I can't emphasize enough that he is staring at him. Like the pre-snap call was to CJ Sanders. It looked like everything broke perfect.
He's
for
the
this
hot
play to
route,
work.
and they're
Yeah,
blitzing. There's no rhyme or reason to not throw it. And I'm supposed to think like, oh, this guy's this guy's gonna be a top 10 pick in the NFL, apparently,
apparently not.
for some reason.
Yeah, I did warn that I thought Josh Adams could get going if they ran him between the tackles, and he had a pretty nice game. Fortunately for USC, the rest of the Notre Dame offense kind of sputtered.
Well, fortunately for USC, also Notre Dame is not want to attempt these things.
To keep running the ball.
They don't want to keep going.
Like, why?
Just like, look. I know we had 17 for 180.
Which is phenomenal.
Maybe it could be 25 for whatever, but we're not going to find out.
Yeah, I mean, this kid hit 17 for 180. That's nuts.
There's lots of ways to lose games, Michael.
And they tried them all.
They did.
Let's see. We had the Adoree Jackson punt return was great. I mean, he just ran straight through him. The receiving touchdown was great. It was just so much fun to watch.
He's very exciting. I mean, he's got that straight line, just like acceleration. It's very pretty.
He hurdled the kicker like in perfect, it was a perfect picture.
He hurdled the kicker, like great timing. He got burned again, which is nice.
That's true. That's another thing that happened.
It was nice of him to throw that in there.
You did get beat on a long touchdown. You gotta stick with what you know. That is the funny part is, Josh Adams busts this like 76-yard run that gets him down to the 1-yard line. Adoree Jackson gets beat for his usual 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And USC still covers depending on what line you had.
I was very disappointed at the end when Notre Dame scored, and my perfect score prediction went to the wayside.
It is true. Greg had the score. He had 45. He said 45-20. It was 45-21. And then Notre Dame scored that stupid touchdown to ruin it for everyone.
It was terrible.
I couldn't believe how many sacks USC got. You told me that was going to happen, and I didn't believe you.
I watched another Notre Dame this year, Michael.
Even watching the game when they said they had like 5 or 6 sacks, I couldn't believe it.
Well, I knew they would bring pressure, and Kaiser has just been bad against it. They've just been bad. I mean,
Yeah.
That's just the fact of it. So
this is the most points someone scored against USC in a while.
Boom.
So you have that going for you.
In your face.
You may have ruined Clancy Pendergrass's Broyles Award candidacy.
In your face. Yeah. I mean, it's something that they can do. They can't sustain it, obviously. I was thinking about it because I was checking out the stats today, and I was wondering if SC actually, if Notre Dame outgained them. Because it didn't seem like SC moved the ball that great.
No,
well, obviously they did. But then I was thinking about it, like, since Adoree Jackson was returning kickoffs and punts and stuff, like they're losing possessions off of that. So
true, but USC did still outgain them.
They did, right? So it
was close, but
it's like even they having less offensive possessions and they still got outgained, which is pretty impressive, I have to say.
Well, the offense started out hot. I don't know hot, but it was moving pretty well at first. Then it kind of stalled itself out a bunch of times.
It was weird. Notre Dame forced a lot of
third downs.
Notre Dame forced a lot of like just punts. Period. I mean, it was not something that I was ready for. I mean, the funny thing is Notre Dame got that, like, they got what they needed. Like, Sam Darnold wasn't as sharp as he has been.
Yeah, they kind of padded the stats towards the end.
Yeah, and I mean, the rain obviously helped in that regard.
With the Juju touchdown too, like.
Oh yeah,
that was some home cooking right there.
That was, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's what you do.
It's fine. So, I mean, it was about as expected.
Should we talk about the disgusting act by Jerry Tillery?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to.
It would be, yeah.
So if you missed it, the referees did. When Cedric Ware was decleated by what's his name? I keep saying it wrong.
Nico Fertitta, the USC heir. Before we get into this ridiculousness by Jerry Tillery, can we just talk about this targeting situation for a second? Like, look, this has nothing to do with USC or anything, because although, like, I have to say, in the beginning of the game or earlier in the game, they throw a crossing route to the Notre Dame receiver. He drops it, and the USC defender sticks the top of his helmet right into his face.
That did happen. I will vouch that did happen.
And you originally said, no, I don't think so. And then they show the replay, and you're like, yeah, that's targeting.
He lowered his head and the whole thing. He crouched down. He kind of did it half-heartedly, but he still did it.
He still did it. And, there's no replay on that. And then the Notre Dame guy kind of like hits his shoulder and arm.
It was a big hit.
And it was a big hit that went up into his shoulder and arm, and then it hit up in his helmet.
And he led with his helmet.
He did. And he got kicked out of the game.
You don't see a lot of targeting calls when running backs are being tackled.
When running back, because it's like it usually has to be a defenseless player, but apparently not.
Yeah, in college, I thought. I mean, they put the rule up. It's pretty much anytime you lead with your head, right? Isn't that the?
Honestly, like it's. I mean,
the idea.
Michael. Apparently, not any time you lead with your head.
Good point.
Because there was a time numerous times this season when someone did lead with their head, and oh my God, this guy missed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm watching the Denver-Kansas City game. And Kansas City just won in overtime. The people have led with their head, and nothing happens. So, No,
you're right. It's very sketchy.
They're just kind of picking and choosing. So that's kind of not cool. I mean, I don't know how long the targeting rule's been in place.
They said they added. They keep adding to it.
Right, but I don't know when it started.
I'm gonna say 5 years ish.
I want to say Notre Dame has had 6 players kicked out of the game for targeting over the span of it. It might be 5. 0 that I can think of. There hasn't been one player that's been kicked out of a game as a result of a hit that they made.
Oh, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong.
When did this happen?
It happened almost a year ago. A very famous player did it, who's now a San Diego Charger. It was very dubious.
Oh, Joey Bosa. That's right. Yes. And then the funny thing is, it's like that wasn't even targeting.
That was the best part.
He hit him in his chest, although he did use his helmet as a weapon, which is also apparently okay. So there's been 1, but like there could have been 4 ejections this season,
like Torrey Hunter Jr.
Like the 2 hits on Deshaun Kaiser, like the one that happened against USC.
So that's my favorite part was after this kid gets ejected for targeting on Cedric, where all the Notre Dame fans were putting up gifs of Deshaun Kaiser getting hit in the head with someone's helmet.
Right.
It was just so great. It's like, you're right, it happens. And I'm sorry that it didn't get called. It's
just the one time. It's that, like, it's multiple times. Like, it happened in the first game. So anyway, I'll move on from that. Let's talk about how Jerry Tillery is
So
just kind of a terrible person.
the heir to the UFC knocks Akisa Jaguar out, and as he's laying on the ground unconscious, Tillery's walking past him, just gives him a little hi, how you doing?
He just like nudges his helmet with his foot.
With his foot.
Like,
Kicks a little strong of a verb for what happened, but
it's not a kick, it's like a nudge. It's just
which is
like
almost worse.
He brushes his foot on his helmet. It's like, why are you even close to him?
Deshaun Kaiser was very upset.
I can't hear that it's an accident.
Right.
Did Deshaun Kaiser say something?
No, he's the one that like pulled him off.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Deshaun Kaiser because it happened close to the sidelines.
Someone pulled him off. Like, dude, what is wrong with you?
So there was no penalty.
I don't know how you like. I don't blame them for not calling a penalty because like live.
How would you even think that would happen?
I could see you not seeing it, and it's like, how do you, like? Can you review that?
Right.
Like, can you review? You know, like
it's not targeting,
like
so
that?
probably.
Yeah, no. So it's like, what do you do? Like, maybe that's why they called targeting. It's like, you know what? It's like maybe that's not targeting, but that stupid shit with your foot is targeting.
Yeah.
So, like you can't play anymore, or like like we're not giving you the ball because your player is not a good person.
For kicking an unconscious man on the head.
And then later, he steps on.
So yeah, Zach Banner falls down for some reason. Like he was being a goof, and he spreads out. And as Jerry Tillery's walking back to the defensive huddle or something, he just pounds on his ankle.
He just steps on his foot. It's like plain as day. I mean,
then that one got a flag.
What's wrong with you, bro? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, get out of here. I tweeted it. Like, if he was kicked off the team, I wouldn't be upset. It's like, that's garbage. And they need him so bad next year, but I'm off it. Like, dude, I don't. You did it twice. He did it twice in like 5 minutes.
He's had some questionable behavior before as well, right?
He's had questionable behavior, but it's more like
it's like weird stuff.
Yeah, it's like going to Ireland during the bye week. Like most of his questionable behavior involves him like not caring about football.
Wasn't he tweeting at Les Miles?
Oh, like he tweeted like Les Miles. Yeah, because Les Miles got fired, and someone tweeted like, "Oh, Les Miles should come to Notre Dame," and he liked the tweet or something. It's like the biggest problem with him is he doesn't like, you know how people say like, oh, X player has like a high motor. He has a low motor.
He has a low motor.
Like he doesn't try hard all the time. So I mean, I'm off it.
And so Brian Kelly saw the second penalty and was very upset.
Well, so normally what happens, like I was reading his lips. They bring him off the field, and because they just say like there's a penalty, you know, and he just says there's a penalty, and you know, but he doesn't see it, he doesn't know, so he comes over and he asks him, "What'd you do?" And I could read his lips, and it said, "Oh, you know, I don't know what happened." And Brian Kelly, his lips say, "Well, what do you mean you don't know? Like, obviously something happened." And so you can't just say like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." So then Brian Kelly is like, "All right, we'll go sit on the bench." And then later on, they tell him what happened. They say, "Hey, you know, they stepped on his foot." And so then he comes over on the bench and he just reams him. Like he just goes crazy on him and just starts screaming and yelling and, you know, "You should have told me," and, you didn't tell me, and now they've told me what you did, and they saw it on film, and so like that's not the thing we do here. And then it was reported a couple of times on online on Twitter that like Brian Kelly actually like kicked him out of the game. Like he sent him to the locker room early. So I mean, that's what I was calling for. And it's just one of those things. Like it's embarrassing. Like it's embarrassing for Notre Dame. It's embarrassing for me as a fan. Like amongst all the other things that are going on with this school, like now we got guys stepping on people and brushing their heads with their feet when they're unconscious. Like,
You can't do that nonsense.
that's what's wrong with you. Like it's just terrible. It's terrible. So, but then like that's the one thing that hasn't happened yet this year. So, we haven't had a player disgrace himself in a really long time. So it's just we got that out of the way. I don't
All
know,
right,
Michael.
hold on. You have to hang up and come back.
I have to hang up and come back?
Yeah, because it's still here. It's still here on my end.
Okay. I'll see you in a bit. Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. All right. So we had that Jerry Tillery nonsense,
Nonsense.
which was, a black mark on the game, but it made it a little interesting. Is there anything
It just
else
wasn't cool.
we missed from the action? We talked about Adoree Jackson's 3 touchdowns, Jeannie Harris's interception return. Sam Darnold looked okay. Nothing great. Juju kept his injury streak alive.
Did I talk about the Heisman poses?
You did not. We did not talk about that.
I don't really care.
You were kind of mad.
Well, it's just like I don't understand. Like, since when is posing for the Heisman 3 times like not a penalty for one? And for 2, when is the mannequin challenge with like 2 other teammates not a penalty?
Now, I think the mannequin challenge is hard to throw a flag on because technically they're not moving.
Dude, you said that already, and it's very annoying. That is a planned That is a planned celebration.
This is true. The offensive lineman ruined it because he kept walking in the background.
Yeah.
So the refs couldn't really see what was going on.
I'm not trying to hate on it too much, but
the 3 Heisman poses was a little fun when somebody high fives a fan and gets a penalty.
It is
last
true.
week.
Like, you could do anything. Like, you just high five a fan. It's like 3 flags go flying, and they're sitting there doing mannequin challenges and 3 Heisman poses.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I hate refs.
And by the way, Adoree Jackson not winning the Heisman.
Right.
The announcers kept trying to push it on us like it was a real thing that might happen.
It's like big games against 4 and 7 teams usually don't get it done.
Yeah. It's like, stop getting beat for touchdowns too.
Maybe we'll give it to the quarterback who's like 6th in the NCAA in rushing and 13th in passing, and leads the NCAA in rushing touchdowns. Maybe we'll give it to him.
Who's been the most exciting player all year long.
Anyway.
Even in losses.
Anyway,
we digress.
Yes.
So let's do a little rundown of where USC is now after defeating Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
They jumped up to 10th in the polls, the AP polls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the College Playoff Football Committee poll rankings, I guess it's on culture rankings, they will probably not move all that much. They were 12th last week because Colorado beat Utah. So Colorado and Washington will play each other in the Pac-12 title game.
This is true.
Which is not great for USC because if Washington wins, we assume they'll make it to the college football playoff, barring any monkey business. And then if Colorado wins, who knows what happens to them? But Colorado or Washington will probably play in the Rose Bowl. So Rose Bowl might be a long shot for USC.
Here's the thing that I'll say for you. If Washington wins, then Colorado is out. Michigan is most likely going to be the Rose Bowl team or Penn State, but I would assume Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, like Michigan and Colorado have already played.
That's true.
And, I mean, even if it was like, would the bowl committee really want Penn State versus Colorado in the Rose Bowl, or would they want Michigan versus USC in the Rose Bowl?
And USC has beaten Colorado head-to-head.
USC's already beaten Colorado. So, like, Colorado kind of didn't really earn it.
So there's a chance that, yes, if Colorado loses to Washington, the football college playoff committee will put USC ahead of Colorado.
They could.
They could.
Who knows what they'll do? These people, Tyrone Willingham is on this committee.
Yes. Pat Hayden is not.
Yeah.
So that's where USC stands. I heard Alamo Bowl is probably where they're headed.
Oh, my God.
That's
terrible.
I know.
That's terrible. Jeez. Talk about a downer.
You end the season on fire, and then you get to go to San Antonio. Neat.
Shouldn't have lost to Stanford, man.
Yep. Like, you should have started the best quarterback you have on the team.
Probably.
That would have been a little more helpful.
Probably should have started the best quarterback since Matt Leinart.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's where USC is. Notre Dame, there was some fun rumor mongering after the game that Brian Kelly well, how did it go that he doesn't think he's going to be fired, but if another coaching position opens up somewhere, he might be interested in taking it, which was shot down later. But
well, so after the game, he is he is in the press conference, and they ask him like, "Are you gonna be the coach or something like that?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna be the coach next year. Like, absolutely, I'm gonna be the coach of this team." Then, like an hour after the game, Yahoo Pat Forty drops a a scoop, a report that like through representatives he's been looking around, like looking for other jobs. Doesn't say what jobs, just kind of like, well, maybe Oregon or maybe Baylor or maybe the NFL, who knows? And then like maybe 30 minutes later, ESPN drops like the same thing. So now like all the Notre Dame guys are like, well, what's this about? Like, what's this? And then at 3 a.m, Brian Kelly issues a statement that says no, like, not doing this. I said what I said, and I'm reiterating, like, I have no desire to be anywhere else except for Notre Dame. Which is fine. That's what people say. It just seems like
It's a weird thing to have happen.
You just can't have this stuff come up,
Like it's not an accident,
Yeah, like the thing is I don't know who's like leaking. Like someone leaked it. So who's leaking this? Like is Brian Kelly leaking it? Like why would you leak it? Is Notre Dame leaking it? Is
the Baylor leaking it? Like
yeah, like are they leaking it? And at this, like the point is like I kind of think it's a goofball story just because like there's no recourse. Like if someone's just putting something out there because they have some agenda, like it hurts Brian Kelly's reputation. And they have no accountability for it being correct or not, because it could just be, if he doesn't take a job, it's like, well, he still could have been looking. And if he does take another job, then it's like, well, see, we told you. So they, someone could just feed him a report and they put it out there and there's no recourse for them. That being said, like this is not a good environment right now.
No.
Like this isn't a situation that gives anyone confidence about next season. Is this the guy going forward?
And you're out here with stories leaking about how you might go somewhere else on your own accord.
Right. And for all we know, the school itself is leaking it. So it's what's going on here? Like how can you feel good about anything that's going on right now? I mean, granted, like maybe time will heal all wounds and stuff.
I couldn't imagine him going to a pro team.
Definitely not going to a pro team. He's 4-8. How does a 4-8 coach get hired by a professional football team?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just not happening. So
we assume he's safe at Notre Dame. I mean,
I don't assume anything. I have no idea.
At this point, we have no.
Yeah, like these people, I don't know what they got going on. It's so. I don't understand like the logic on anyone's end. So, I mean, look, it's college football. Like, figure it out. Figure out what you want to do, and just go with it. All right. It doesn't have to be like back room, back channels, secret meetings in dark rooms. Like, make a decision, be decisive, and go with it.
Well, that doesn't sound like college football at all.
Right.
But between the NCAA and the coaches, I mean,
this is why they haven't been good for freaking however long, 20 years, 30 years.
They made it to a national title game.
Apparently not.
That's true. And since then, Brian Kelly's 15-15.
Someone wrote an article, or someone put out a tweet that for the Ringer, and they were like, someone told me to write an article about Notre Dame. Can anyone remind me what their record is? And I said they're 4-29. And last week they lost 22 games.
That's pretty good.
Terrible.
Last week they lost 22 games.
They did.
That's really funny.
Man, what a terrible season.
It was a rough one for you, man.
I've never seen it. Like, I did not think that it was even possible.
When was the last time Notre Dame was this bad?
2007.
Really?
They were 3-9.
That's pretty bad.
But that was like you understood because like everyone who was playing was a freshman. Like it was literally everybody. So everyone kind of knew, you know. So Jimmy Clausen was a freshman. Golden Tate was a freshman. They had a bunch of freshman linemen, like their freshman running backs. Like their entire backfield was freshmen. It's like Notre Dame started a guy who's supposed to go in the top 10 in the draft.
We went 4-8.
And I don't know how he's I still don't understand. Like I understand that he's tall and big and he has a strong arm or whatever. Like, he's Everett Golson. How is he any different?
Decision making in question.
Decision making, just I mean,
I can't wait to see him at Gruden's quarterback camp or whatever it's called.
he was a 58% passer. Like it's a lot more than decision making. He's not very accurate. Man, I don't get it. Like when was one time where it was like, yeah, man, he looks unbelievable. Like
Besides Texas,
it was Texas. That was it.
he didn't even play every series.
Well, that's Brian Kelly just mismanaging a whole situation, being irresponsible.
You know what I was going to say? The announcers brought that up, but I want to say during the SC Notre Dame game, how bad was Brian Greasy?
Like, well, I mean, Steve Levy too. Like he didn't know people's names. Like Kevin Stevenson's catching passes, and then the same guy is Kevin Stepherson.
Stephen Mitchell Jr. was out there playing.
Yeah, Stephen Mitchell Jr. was out there playing corner or safety for somehow. And then Brian Greasy is like straight up like announcing the Michigan-Ohio State game.
He's like, guys, I have this in my monitor. So
Notre Dame was legitimate. Like Notre Dame's legitimately lining up to after the first play, they're gonna, sneak it in. And he's like, oh, they are gonna go for 2. And Steve Levy's like, wrong game, big guy. It's like, jeez, man.
It was unreal.
Can you be a professional just for like 10 minutes?
No, gotta watch.
It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the school you played for 20 years ago is playing in a big game right now. Like, if you want to not be there, then just go to the game and have someone else do this game.
It was too much, man.
They are going to go for 2.
He's actively watching a different game.
He's actively watching and announcing it. They're going to go for 2 here.
They showed like video clips of him watching the game.
Yeah, it's like it's a wrong game, boss.
Oh, it was too much for me.
Pretty good.
Another announcing problem. Brady Quinn was doing the Utah-Colorado game. Oh, he was awful.
Was he?
Yeah. He didn't know who anybody was. I'm pretty sure it was Brady Quinn.
It was definitely Brady Quinn.
Yeah, because it's the Pac-12 big time Fox game. So yeah. Oh man, he was terrible. He was like questioning like why coaches were doing things when it clearly was the right move. Like he was just out there. Just saying stuff.
It's been a bad year for Notre Dame all around.
Just gotta have some filler, and Brady Quinn's out there filling it.
Filler.
It was wild.
Man, Utah. How did you guys lose to them?
Freshman quarterback never started before.
I was not impressed with Utah.
I mean, they looked bad. They were.
Aside from the fact that like Colorado is like dropping like multiple touchdown passes.
Yeah, Colorado didn't look great either.
No. But they didn't look great from the fact that like it's like, yeah, who was I telling? Someone was I might have been Tim. It's like, oh, Colorado doesn't look good. It's like, well, if you drop all your touchdowns, If like all your scoring plays are not scoring plays, then I mean, yeah, it's hard.
That negatively affects you.
Yeah. It's like a guy standing by himself in the end zone, and the quarterback just kind of flips it to him and he drops it. It's like, what are you? It's like, am I supposed to think Colorado sucks because of that?
But yeah, man, I don't know. I can't believe it either. I thought Utah was going to do it.
I did too. Like, it's one of those things, like, you sometimes feel like life imitates like a movie script. And so in your brain, it's like, well, the script says that USC,
this hot USC team gets to keep going.
USC goes to the championship and plays Washington and wins, and somehow they make it into the playoff, and then da-da-da-da-da.
Rematch with Alabama, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And it's like, no. Just, no.
Not this year.
Colorado wins, and they're going to go to the Alamo Bowl.
What a waste. What a waste of an 8-game winning streak.
You know what we need to talk about? We need to talk about Juju Smith's comment to the reporter that if Adoree Jackson comes back, then he's coming back.
I think that just means he knows that Adoree's not coming back.
Yeah, because I put on Twitter like, and if Adoree doesn't come back, then good luck to the boys. Like,
yeah,
like, good luck to the guys. Like
it just me and Adoree are in this together. Forget the rest of you.
Well, he was like, if Adoree comes back, then I'm coming back, and we're gonna win this natty. And it's like, but he's probably not coming back. So you don't care about winning a national championship? Like, what's the...
No. Care about getting paid.
As he should.
He gets hurt so much.
He does.
He needs to get a paycheck, man.
He does need to get a paycheck. I mean, all of them.
Well, yeah. That's a different podcast.
I'll make your money.
Well, I think that's about it, right? We don't need to go into a season postmortem. We got plenty of time for that.
Oh man,
no one plays next week, and I think we'll know by Sunday night who goes to what bowl game, right? The selection shows on Sunday.
After next week?
Yeah, so Pac-12 title games on Friday.
Yeah. Yep, I'll be putting up my Christmas lights.
Ooh.
Yep.
How festive.
We've lived in this house for 2 years, and every year on bowl selection Sunday, I put up my Christmas lights.
That's a fun coincidence.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, Michael.
Bowl season? That's what the commercial says.
Oh. And Christmas.
Oh. So yeah, so we'll know about where USC is playing on our next podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll have a special guest if we can make that work.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We got something cooking.
Get something cooking.
But other than that, it was a good season, Greg.
No, it was not. It was in no way a good season.
No, you're right. For you, it was not.
0%.
Well, we have many more we have a handful of more podcasts to come in this year.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
We'll keep them coming, so don't worry. Just because there's no games this weekend, we got stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
You can follow us on iTunes. When you follow us, leave a comment or give us a rating. We appreciate that greatly.
Do it.
You can share this with your friends. Whenever you see the link, there's got to be a share button. Share it. Follow us on Facebook. Greg, no more stock reports for UHND.
Thankfully, no.
Maybe like end of the season wrap up.
It's like, man, the stock crashed, man. They're crashed.
Like, it's buy low. It's the lowest it can be.
So yeah. No, but I'll keep writing. I'll find some other angle. I'm gonna keep writing.
We'll keep sharing.
All right.
Follow me on Twitter. I'm Michael Muto on Twitter. Greg, what's your Twitter?
At Greg2126.
Greg's had lots of Notre Dame back and forth with people of late.
I have.
So if you follow him, you'll get that.
I have opinions.
They're good ones. I support your opinions.
Tim sent me an email. He said my Twitter was fun. So
see? That's
validation.
Homer. That's kind of a Homer call, but
whatever. Totally Homer. Totally.
We'll take what we can get.
Although Tim is like he'll let you know. If it's not good, he'll let you know.
It's a great point.
He is not like a parent.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you everyone for listening, and you will hear us again next week. Fight on.
Go Irish.